Let's bring in Craig Ballard. Well, the best news is about the Toronto Blue Jays, I think. Coming off some series wins against West Coast teams. Craig, welcome back from the Locked On Blue Jays podcast. Appreciate you, man. Where are you on the Jays these days? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well, first of all, Rod, great to be back on with you. Second of all, shout out to Pee Wee's Playhouse, right? Can we take a quick second here? Shout out to Pee Wee's Playhouse. That was a great show.
You say whatever you need. You take the time. He deserves it. Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. I also agree with your sentiment to don't Google further. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, Toronto Blue Jays, yeah, I'm very, very excited about the team right now. The last couple months, they actually have the best record in all of baseball. Is that going to work? Is that good? So yes, very excited about the Blue Jays. I think the trade deadline is going to improve them even further. We're already out of the gate with that. This Jordan Hicks trade is a real deal benefit for at least the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays. I hope going forward as well. Sure to see some more trades coming later today and tomorrow. And that's off the field. On the field, the first place, I don't know how this happened, but the first place Baltimore Orioles are in town for 4 this week, Rod. So off the field, business is picking up. On the field, business is picking up.
It is a key series for sure. And the last time, Craig, you were on, Alek Manoah had just been sent down to the minors. And you were saying, we don't know what's wrong with him. In retrospect now, and he seems to have found what he lost. He really does. What do you think was wrong with him?
Boy, Rod, I so sincerely wish I had a better answer coming for you on this. And it's simply because in all my years watching baseball, I've never seen a scenario like this. People, bring up the comparison of Roy Halladay. Well, when Roy Halladay was sent back to the minor leagues, he was not coming off a season where he was number 3 in baseball in Cy Young voting. And in 2021, Alek Manoah was absolutely incredible as well. So to see that level of fall from grace, I've just not seen it before. And for the rest of the season, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, I still do think we see Alek Manoah get back to being that 1 or 2 in your rotation, but certainly not in 2023. There's some work that needs to take place in the offseason. Seems like there might be some work to do between the ears as well in the offseason, but I do still think that can improve. But for the rest of this season, Rod, I don't know what we're going to get from Alek Manoah. My goodness, I hope the Blue Jays have put themselves in a situation with Kevin Gausman and Barrios at the top of the rotation. I hope the Blue Jays are in a spot where they'd be fine with having Manoah be more like the 3 or the 4, because I just don't see him getting back to being that 1 and that 2. Yes, we've seen flashes of some improvements from Alek Manoah, but certainly nothing consistent where we think that the Alek Manoah is back. And we're going to have to see, Rod. We're going to have to see how he responds in his next time out. That hitting that player in the face the other day to end his game on Saturday afternoon, that's a very big deal, Rod. That is a very big deal. So between the ears, we're going to have to see what Alek Manoah looks like for the rest of this season. But overall,
it was a traumatic traumatic situation for everybody involved. By the way, that powder blue lid at your right elbow, was that what the Jays wore on Canada Day? That splashy little number that I fell in love with so much?
This is an All-Star game throwback. This is from when the Jays hosted the All-Star game in '91. I love this one right here. Yeah.
Whoa.
No, this is not related. No.
Well, that one was hot too. Everything Blue Jays. Give me it all. Absolutely. On the Jordan Hicks trade. So basically, did Ross Atkins say and John Schneider that we've had enough Mickey Mouse in our bullpen? Jordan Romano can't decide whether he's healthy or not, so we need to get a guy in here that can close out games? Or what led to that deal, do you think?
Not just to close out games. The Jordan Romano, even before he had this actual injury, he was breaking down a huge workload. Eric Swanson comes into this season. His career high for appearances is at 57. He's already at 49. Jimmy Garcia is already at 48. Nate Pearson comes into this season with 17 career appearances on the big league level. He's at 30 this season. Trevor Richards is on pace for by far his highest innings pitched as a reliever. So the workload was just untenable. It's not something that could continue. Yes, Chad Green, we hope, is around the corner, and he's going to be massive for this team. But there had to be another addition. And so from that standpoint, I love this Jordan Hicks move now. So you needed another addition to help the other arms. Now, what about the addition itself? Can he stand on his own as an asset? Oh, yes, he can. This guy, my goodness, he has a couple different pitches that he throws, Rod, that average over 100 miles per hour. He's topped out this season at 104 miles per hour. Now, I do want to say about Jordan Hicks, I do want to caution the fans. There's not a lot of 3 up, 3 down innings. I'll say that. The little bit of control issues, so there'll be a walk in there, maybe a hit in there. But the thing about Jordan Hicks is his stuff is so nasty that it's next to impossible to string together a streak of 3 or 4 quality at-bats in a row where you're getting a couple hits and maybe a walk in there to rally to score a run. And it's every bit as difficult to square up the fastball to just hit a home run and instantly put runs up on the board. So I don't think you're going to end up looking like me with the bald head, but just know that there won't be a lot of 3 up, 3 down innings with Jordan Hicks. But at the end of the inning, you're still going to be happy. That's still going to be a success. So Jordan Hicks, he walks in the door to really help lengthen the depth in this bullpen. But I also think that right away, too, we'll see him get some high leverage opportunities, some 8th and 9th inning opportunities. And the timing of the trade, Rod, is very interesting because if this trade came down to the trade deadline, we talk about Baltimore being in town. If it came down to the trade deadline, then Jordan Hicks probably misses this entire Orioles series. As is, he should get here and be able to pitch and contribute in the series. So this is a trade that we could see pay dividends right away.
Only time for one more question. We've got about 2 or 3 minutes, but wonderful Blue Jays analysis and great comments coming in from the audience. And I'll get to as many as I can. Chad in Lethbridge says, great trade. Jordan Hicks, huge pickup. 104-mile-an-hour fastball. Kikuchi's turned it around. Manoah's pitching better. I think the 6-man rotation will help immensely. From Richard Holdridge in Columbus, Georgia, he says, great show. Thank you, Richard. We're going to be going on his show coming up later on this afternoon. He's a baseball guy. And the Braves, I saw today, well, I don't know what the power rankings I were reading. The Braves ranked number 1 overall in the majors. The Blue Jays were 7th. So I'll get to that in a second. And Robin, and thank you, Richard, for tuning in. I can't wait to be on your show this afternoon. Robin says, Craig, now with a balanced schedule, is there a need for divisions in baseball? For instance, the Twins are in a playoff spot at 54 and 53. They'd be in last in the American League East. Could you imagine them just erasing the lines of the divisions and making them? What do you think about that? I hope they don't.
No, I don't. And there's a few things. It's a great question. Thank you so much for a great question. There's a few things in play here. First of all, when the expansion happened and you went from American League East, American League West to a Central team in there now, the Toronto Blue Jays were slated to go in that Central, and they screamed bloody murder. They kicked up a fuss. They said, absolutely not. You keep us in the American League East, because the Toronto Blue Jays, from a business standpoint, want those gates when the Boston Red Sox come to town, want those gates when the New York Yankees come to town, and they don't want to see even less games with that. So even if there's a choice that the Toronto Blue Jays could make, believe it or not, they would want to stay in this division. And I certainly hear your points, right? Because I mean, the AL East this season, AL East this season is the reason for the bald head. If we're being honest, my goodness, it is incredible. But it's to one version or another, Rod. It's always been like this. I was looking back the other day at a couple of Blue Jays seasons in the 90s and the 2000s. Well, my goodness. The Blue Jays in 1989 at the trade deadline, they're under 500. They're in second place in the American League East. If they were in the American League West, they'd be in last place. So this has ebb and flow to it. I know with the Yankees and the Red Sox ability to spend, it seems like it's always going to be daunting in this division. But honestly, from a business standpoint, the Toronto Blue Jays wouldn't have it any other way. So anybody hoping that the Blue Jays, are going to be out of this division at some point, even if they're given the choice, Rod, they'll turn it down.
Isn't that something, man? I appreciate the insight. I did not know that. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays podcast. Thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of the run, and we'll catch up with you in August.
Thanks so much, Rod. Shout out to you and your entire crew. Just a great job there.
How about that?
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. I would say right back at you.